YouTube looks like. So you put in your information, it shoots out what your BMR is, and then you can figure out what your exercise amount is. So if you exercise 4 to 5 times a week, it's about 2,300 for this particular person. I will say there's a really classic study. It was published in 1992. That's how classic it is. It's probably older than some of you. But it was in the New England Journal of Health. And what they did is they asked all of these people to track their calories and to track their exercise. And what they found was that when people reported their calorie intake, they underestimated it by 1,000. And when they calculated the calories they burned through exercise, they overestimated it by 250 calories. So, with that said, whenever I have someone that identifies their activity factor, I always tell them, just bump it down, because you might be overestimating. So if you work out 4 to 5 times a week, I would just bump it down to the 1 to 3 times a week. It's only about like 150 calorie difference, but I will say this is for weight maintenance. So it's good to know what your body needs to sustain itself, just to keep the weight the same. Weight loss, I don't like to talk to people about weight loss unless they're specifically coming to me for weight loss, but again, just to clear up some myths about weight loss, what we normally have people do is take that number that they just calculated and then subtract 500 calories if they're hoping to lose half a pound a week, or 1,000 if they're hoping to lose 1 pound a week. Let me just clear that up though. So most people jump into the 1 pound a week. They're like, I want to lose 5 pounds, I want to do it ASAP. If you have only a few pounds to lose, or even for most people, you're better off going with a smaller amount and setting your weight loss expectations lower. Sometimes I'll even have people do only 250 and they're losing 1/4 pound a week. But 1,000 calorie reduction is massive. That's a lot. And our bodies are designed for the long haul. So our bodies still are in caveman times. It wants to maintain the weight that it's at for survival. So what happens is, very naturally, I don't know if any of you have experienced this before, I know I have. You cut your calories drastically because your goal is, oh, I want to go to the beach and I want to look good and I want to lose some weight. You cut your calories drastically. You do it for a couple of days and then you binge eat on the 3rd day. And then people come to me and they're like, I have no willpower, I can't stick with the diet. It's because it's not sustainable. It has to be sustainable. 500 calories for half a pound of weight loss a week is great. If you're only looking to lose 5 pounds, maybe it's 250. I'm not saying anyone in here needs to lose weight, but again, I like to clear up nutrition myths, so that's weight loss. This person was looking to lose weight. Let's say they don't do a ton of activity. Their calories about 1,900. They would probably cut it to, oh my gosh, quick math, 1,400 is what they would drop it to. Again, dropping it by 1,000, expecting a pound of weight loss a week, that would bring them to 900. It's not sustainable. The realistic weight loss, about 2 to 4 pounds of weight loss per month. So when you read, I go to Acme for the food pharmacy like 3 times a week, and the magazine covers are always like, lose 10 pounds this week and feel better. That's not possible. But this is a pretty accurate depiction of weight loss. You're gonna go down, but you're also gonna go up. This makes perfect sense. It's, as long as the line is trending downward, that's good. But, sometimes too, like this person crying right here because they gained weight, it's also possible that they exercised a lot and now they're feeling that inflammatory response and their weight went up. It's not a bad thing. This is a massive review article. They looked at 198 studies in this, and they were trying to find what the overall keto weight loss was, no matter what diet someone was following. They tried to figure out what was the key to it. And the key was dropping those calories. So it's not anything super special. None of these quote unquote diets are going to give you something super special that the other one isn't giving you except reducing your calories. I'm kind of simplifying it right now. The thing that was key for calorie restriction, it had to be sustainable to the person. So if we told, I'll use keto as an example because it's the best one. Keto diet appeared to have a slight competitive edge for weight loss. It had by far the greatest dropout of any group that they studied. I think like 80% of the participants dropped out of the study because it's really difficult. So if you are trying to make some sort of change to your eating or to what have you, it has to work for you. So if I have a single mother of 6 come to me, she's like, I need to lose weight. I'm not recommending the keto diet because she's got to count everything meticulously. I'm not recommending paleo because that, can get really complex. I'm recommending a version of what she's currently doing, just slightly altered so that it's easier. Meal timing is important. I mean, I could spend a few hours on the studies dedicated to meal timing. I'm gonna just keep it kind of simple because for the most part, all of these people are following the same calorie needs, but they're doing it in different ways. So if you're someone that does not like to eat breakfast, even though I feel like you should eat a breakfast, it's okay. You can divide up your calories this way. If you're someone, again, that's starting to work out, you're feeling hungry often, maybe these small 300 calorie meals that are focused on protein are better for you. That's actually oftentimes how bodybuilders will do it to get in that protein that they need. Most people fall in the middle, but it could be any of these. It could be a version of this that's not even up on the board here, what to eat. All food is made up of 3 things. We've got carbs, we've got protein, we've got fats. How am I doing on time? Okay. Carbs, protein, fats. So all food is made up of one or a mixture of these macronutrients. We call these the macronutrients because they're the big things that you eat. The micronutrients are like vitamins, minerals, that kind of stuff. Macronutrients we need in big amounts every day. Most meat foods are purely protein, but they also have some fat. Bread, mostly carbs, but they also have a little bit of protein. So there's always going to be a little bit of overlap that goes on. But it's important to know what they are. This is the percentage of our daily intake that's taken up by macronutrients. So most people, the majority of what they're eating is carbohydrates. And that shocks a lot of people. Because people will say to me, like, I don't eat a lot of bread, I don't eat a lot of rice or pasta, but coming back here, fruits have carbs in them. Vegetables also have a little bit of carbs. I don't even think I see vegetables on, but beans, nuts, so carbs actually do make up a lot of our diet. The food pyramid, if you guys remember the food pyramid, that's a really good example of someone taking the science and really kind of misrepresenting it. So it showed all like the bread and pasta on the bottom. What they were trying to show is that the majority of what we eat are carbs, but when they showed it, it made it look like you should be eating a lot of rice and pasta throughout the day. So it didn't actually make sense. Fat, we also take in a fair amount of fat, and then protein is pretty small. Someone who is eating a vegan diet, their carbs are going to be higher. And that also is counterintuitive to a lot of people because they think of carbs as being bad. But vegans, the traditional vegans, now we have a lot of people who say they're vegan, but the traditional vegans were very healthy. They're some of the healthiest people in the world. And they were taking in mostly carbs. Some fat and some protein as well, but they were following a plant-based way of eating. Mostly plants, nuts, seeds, whole grains. Keto, on the other hand, look at this, look at the fat, oh my gosh. This is why keto is so hard to follow. Carbs are 5%. That's a traditional keto diet. That's why it's so hard to follow. And the thing is that, and by the way, I actually have an aunt that does keto. She has an autoimmune disease and it's really, really helped her. That's great. I mean, keto works for some people. It doesn't often work for, you know, the single mother of like multiple children. This won't work for them. In general, I love this plate. This plate, half of it is vegetables, a quarter of the plate is carbohydrates, a quarter of the plate is protein. This, I think, is a really great guideline for how to portion your plate. In general, I don't want you carrying around like measuring cups or anything like that. This is just a good way, like if you're at a barbecue or if you're at a restaurant, it's just a good guideline. Like if half your plate is veggies, cool. A quarter carbs, a quarter protein. That's normally how we know you're having enough. So this plate follows that guideline. And once you understand that, all these other plates start to open up. So all of these fit that guideline of half the plate veggies, a quarter protein, a quarter carbs. This also fits that. So I just stole this picture off Instagram, but I love this picture because it's just so realistic. Like if you're running between classes or, you know, I teach at night, so sometimes I don't want to cook. This fits that plate. You know, you've got about a cup or so of vegetables, you've got a protein, you've got your carbs, that's fine. So when you understand like what these plates look like, you can really simplify it. This is fine, this is healthy as well. The difference in portions is also helpful, so knowing that plate portioning is good because then you can control your portions. There's nothing wrong with either of these plates, but knowing, you know, half this plate is veggies, you've got your protein, all right, you've got an avocado there, but that's healthy. You know, this is portioned according to that plate a little bit more than this is, where the fat starts to take over more of the plate. 710 calories is perfectly fine for a breakfast if you're going out for a run or doing exercise, but again, it is important to know the big calorie differences. Same thing here, this plate is kind of portioned where half of it is vegetables, a quarter protein, a quarter carbs. This one, the carbs start to take over a little bit more. I guess this is chicken. The carbs start to take over a little bit more, so you get more calories in. So, again, nothing wrong with this. Certainly nothing wrong with this, but if you think you're eating 380 calories and you're actually eating 750, that's where the discrepancy comes into play. You can also apply it to snacks. Nothing wrong with either of these, but just knowing that like the fats have a little bit more carbs in them, or more calories in them, so you're gonna get more calorie rich that way versus that smaller one. It's actually a great snack before a workout. This probably would not fuel you for terribly long, but again, just knowing what the calorie difference is can be really helpful. So this is kind of the plate that I was talking about, half fruits and veggies, a quarter protein, a quarter carbs. You know, you're eating that, but let's say one day you're doing kind of an intense workout, you're going for a run, or you're lifting, your needs can change. So you need a little bit more carbs, possibly a little bit more protein if you're working out. So it's a good example of someone, again, who did a fair amount of physical activity throughout the day. And then, let's say you were doing a really big workout, like you ran a half marathon, or I don't know, you went for a big hike, like that day I did that huge hike. You're gonna need a lot more carbs. So I'm showing all of this. I know this is super complex. I mean, I'm really like throwing some complex nutrition stuff at you, but I'm showing you all of this to show you that it doesn't have to be static. Things can change. They can really change, they can really adjust. One day, you might need that plate on the left. The next day, you might be really going for it. You might need this plate on the right.